All right, today we're diving into an absolute giant of literature, Miguel de Cervantes' masterpiece, Don Quixote. I mean, this is a sprawling story about madness, this incredible, unlikely friendship, and really, what happens when one man's beautiful, wild dreams just smash right into the hard wall of reality.
You know, it's a question that feels so modern, right? But it's actually the beating heart of this novel from way back in the 17th century. I mean, what does happen when the stories we love, the fiction we consume, stops being just, well, fiction, and starts becoming the only world we can see?
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with a Spanish gentleman. He's living a pretty quiet, unremarkable life in a region called La Mancha. His name? Alonso Quijano. But you're going to want to remember that name because he won't be going by it for very much longer.
See, here's the thing about Alonso. He reads a lot. I mean, he absolutely drowns himself in these old books about chivalry. You know, knights, dragons, damsels in distress, the whole shebang. He reads so much that one day something just snaps. The line between what's real and what's on the page completely vanishes. And he decides he's not just going to read about heroes anymore. No, he's going to be one.
And just like that, poof, Alonso Quixano is gone. In his place is the one, the only Don Quixote de la Mancha. I mean, he goes all in. He finds a rusty old suit of armor, he renames his beat-up old horse, Rocinante, and get this, he picks a local peasant girl he's never even spoken to and decides she's his noble lady Dulcinea, to whom he'll dedicate all his heroic deeds. The man is ready to go.
But hey, every great knight needs a squire, right? Don Quixote knows he can't save the world all by himself, and this is where we meet, honestly, one of the most important characters in the whole book. And that would be Sancho Panza. Now Sancho is, well, he's the complete opposite of Don Quixote. He's not interested in chivalry or honor. He's a down-to-earth farmer, a practical guy who just wants to provide for his family. So when Don Quixote comes along and promises him piles of gold and his very own island to govern, well, for Sancho, that's a deal he just can't pass up. So he signs on as the knight's squire.
And this right here, this is the whole ball game. This is the central dynamic that drives the entire novel. Don Quixote and Sancho, they're walking through the exact same landscape, but they are seeing two completely different worlds. Don Quixote sees a magnificent castle. Sancho sees a crummy little inn. Quixote sees a massive army marching toward them. Sancho sees, a bunch of sheep. And of course, the most famous one, where Don Quixote sees terrifying, evil giants, Sancho just sees windmills.
So as you can probably guess, this, clash of perspectives, it leads to some of the funniest, most unforgettable disasters in literary history.
So just try to picture this scene, okay? Don Quixote looks out on the plains and he is filled with this righteous fury because he sees a field of enormous, monstrous giants waving their huge arms, basically threatening all of humanity. Sancho is yelling at him, "No, master, those are windmills!" But he doesn't listen. He just commends his soul to his lady Dulcinea, lowers his lance, and charges.
And what happens? Well, exactly what you'd expect. A giant windmill sail catches him and sends him and his poor horse flying. It's a total wipeout. But does this shake his belief? Nope, not one bit. He immediately explains it away. It had to be a wicked sorcerer, you see, who magically turned the giants into windmills at the very last second, just to cheat him out of a glorious victory. And that's the key right there. His delusion always has a built-in excuse.
And this just keeps happening over and over again. He'll charge a flock of sheep, convinced it's an army, which doesn't end well. He gets into fights with pretty much everyone he meets. He even makes an innkeeper go through this whole ridiculous ceremony to officially knight him. Every single time, his intentions are noble, but the result is just complete and utter chaos. But then, as they keep on adventuring, something really interesting starts to shift. Don Quixote and Sancho actually become famous, or maybe infamous is a better word. And as they're about to find out, fame can be a very, very dangerous thing.
Yeah, in the second part of the novel, it's not just random encounters anymore. People have actually heard the stories about this crazy knight and his squire. So now, instead of just reacting to his madness, they start actively messing with him. They start setting him up. A rich duke and duchess, for instance, invite them over to their castle, but it's all a setup to stage these incredibly elaborate and, honestly, really cruel pranks just to entertain themselves. And this is where the story's tone really darkens. It stops being so funny and starts feeling, well, a lot more tragic.
But in the middle of all this cruelty, we get this amazing development for Sancho. As part of one of these elaborate jokes, they actually give him that island he was promised.
The whole court is just waiting for him to make a total fool of himself. But he doesn't. He actually rules with incredible common sense and a kind of simple, practical wisdom. He's a great governor. But in the end, he walks away from it all. He realizes that power and money aren't what he wants. He'd rather be loyal to his crazy but good-hearted master.
Well, every journey has to end, right? Even the imaginary ones. And after so many adventures, so many beatings and humiliations, the whole quest really starts to wear him down.
The final blow comes when he's challenged to a duel and defeated, and the knight who beats him is actually a friend in disguise whose only condition for victory is that Don Quixote has to promise to go home. He's just completely broken, physically, spiritually, everything. So the would-be knight heads home, and you can just feel that the dream is finally starting to die.
And then, on his deathbed, something truly incredible happens. The fog just lifts. The madness is gone. He renounces the whole identity of Don Quixote. He asks everyone for their forgiveness. He becomes Alonso Quixano again. He even curses the very books of chivalry that sent him on this crazy journey. And then, completely sane, he dies peacefully.
So, that's the story. But the big question is why? Why are we still obsessed with this book more than 400 years after it was written? Well, it's because its legacy is so much bigger than just a funny story about a crazy old guy. In fact, a lot of people argue that this is the very first modern novel, ever.
See, it's pretty clear Cervantes started out just wanting to make fun of all those cheesy knight-errant stories that were super popular at the time. But somewhere along the way, he accidentally created something way, way deeper. He gave us characters who were messy and complicated and just so deeply human. They learn, they change, they grow throughout the story. And that was a huge deal back then. Before this, characters were often just simple archetypes, but Don Quixote and Sancho, they felt real. And that right there is why it's still so powerful today. The book is just a masterclass in exploring that constant tug-of-war between our ideals and cold, hard reality. It makes you question what's even real or true in the first place. But maybe the most powerful idea is this: sometimes it takes a fool with an unbreakable belief in something good to show everyone else how cynical and empty their so-called sane world really is. It just nails that perfect, bittersweet feeling of life, that mix of laughing one minute and feeling sad the next. Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. It's so easy to laugh at Don Quixote, to just write him off as crazy. But think about it. He chased his ideals, things like justice and honor and kindness, with a passion that most of us just don't have. So maybe the real question isn't about whether he was sane or not. Maybe the real question is, in our cynical world today, don't we kind of need a little bit of that impossible idealism? Is a world without any dreamers like him really a better place?